Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. To get the most out of this video, listen to the introduction to understand what is going to happen astrologically this week and when it will occur. Then use the timestamps in the description box or comments section below to go to your sun, moon and rising signs to see how things will generally affect you. This is a general read of the astrological energies that will be playing out this week. For a specific assessment of how the planetary energies will affect you personally, I would suggest getting a reading with a professional astrologer. You can do so with me through the Guiding Star Astrology website. If you're new to astrology, you are so welcome on this platform. If you would like to learn to read your own astrology chart, you can do a short, fun course with me for $35 Australian. The link is in the description below. Thank you to all my YouTube subscribers and my Patreon family members. Without you, this video and its message would not be possible. Well, hello everybody and welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. This week we're looking at the energies of the 31st of July through to the 7th of August. It's going to be a busy week and there's lots to talk about. But first I want to say thank you to everyone who got in touch with me and shared all about the Astro Weather Report from last week and how the eclipse activation affected them. I've had so many stories, amazing stories of fated events and things happening out of the blue, unexpected things going on in people's lives that they didn't see coming, usually of blessing, which I'm so pleased to report on as well. So if you didn't catch that report, check it out from last week because it details the potential activation that might be happening in your chart. Make sure you listen to the intro. In your chart, in our lives, each and every one of us, for the duration of, I think it's the 29th of July through the 10th of August. So it's still active this week as well. So it's worth checking out that weather report too to see how the eclipse activation will be or might be affecting you. Check that out. Now, this week we have a very special celebration unfolding. It's one of the cross-quarter day celebrations. The Celts and the pagan communities used to celebrate cross-quarter days. And what we're looking at in the Northern Hemisphere is Lammas. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. And we're looking at Imbolc in the Southern Hemisphere. And this is happening on the 5th of August. Now, what are these celebrations? Well, Lammas is the halfway point between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox for currently the Northern Hemisphere is experiencing that. And it was a grain festival associated with the themes of harvest, bringing in the grain, a bread festival. And it was very connected to the energies of the waxing gibbous moon. So that is what the Northern Hemisphere is celebrating. At the same time, here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're celebrating Imbolc, and it's the point that is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. It means spring is coming. And it was connected to the energy, or it is connected rather, to the energy of the waxing crescent moon, the increasing moon, the growth, the growth phase that we're in the Southern Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere is in the waning cycle at the moment. Things are contracting for those in the Northern Hemisphere. Bit by bit, you're getting closer and closer to the shortest day of the year now. In the Southern Hemisphere, the opposite is happening. Bit by bit, we're getting closer to the longest day of the year happening. So it's an exciting time for everybody because there's always change. And I love that about the cycles. I love that about astrology. It tells us that things never stay the same. They might move in cycles, but they always change. And sometimes when we're stuck, when we're twiddling our thumbs, waiting for something to happen, it's nice to remind ourselves that change is inevitable. Now, the Imbolc festival is actually, well, the name refers to ewe's milk, and it has that connection to the newborn spring lambs. You know, thank God spring is on its way. It has been a very long, wet winter where I live. So that's what we're celebrating this week. And for those people who love to celebrate, who enjoy celebrations, and let's face it, celebration is one of the key qualities that gives meaning to life. When I was working as a town planner, we would work with communities, and I actually did my thesis on focusing on the key elements that help small communities and small towns to thrive. You know, some small towns collapse and implode and die, and others flourish and move ahead. And I looked at the key qualities, and one of the top 10 qualities that a town will have in order to flourish is celebration. When a town celebrates, when a community celebrates, it is stronger and more empowered. And the same is true for our lives. And we look at the ancients, the Celtics and the ancient Greeks. Last week we had Neptunalia. This week we've got Imbolc and Lammas. They celebrated regularly. There were regular cyclical celebrations to be enjoyed. Now, we don't quite do that in the same way in this day and age, do we? We've got all the material holidays, you know, Christmas, Valentine's Day, you know, we've materialized everything, and we kind of have lost the essence of let's just celebrate, you know. There's some spring lambs being born, let's celebrate. We're bringing in the harvest, let's celebrate, you know. We've lost that essence of let's just celebrate. Instead, it's, oh God, I've got to find more money, and I've got to try and host this dinner, and all the families coming around, and we get lost in the busyness of celebration, and so we don't do it as much. You know, let's just, you know, all go down the street and have a drink, you know, let's enjoy, let's just be happy and glad and celebrate together for the sake of celebration. And as a woman, let's not put the burden for celebrating onto the people that organise and run all the food requirements all the time. Sorry, I might go into my feminist bandwagon there. But these festivals, they give joy and meaning to human existence on the planet. And the particular festivals we're looking at this week are actually feminine festivals, and they're connected to the cycles of the earth, as most of the ancient types of festivals were. And it's actually the feminine festivals are connected to the fire festivities, which is interesting because the fire element is a masculine element. So that's something very interesting to note, that the ancients used to celebrate with fire, you know, bonfires and what have you, these feminine festivals. But this is as opposed to sort of the solstice and equinoxes, which were more masculine-based festivals, and the emphasis with solstice and equinox festivals was on the sky and the sky gods, you know, honouring the sky. So what can we do to celebrate Lammas and Imbolc? Well, perhaps we might light a candle, have a bonfire, create some sort of maybe floral altar or fruit altar, you know, as the harvest comes in, depending which hemisphere we're actually in. Simply celebrate the cycles of life and the earth this week. Let's remember them. Now, usually in my astro weather reports, I give the best days for the week ahead, and you know, when you can sort of get the best results for your actions, so to speak. Be conscious of the void moon, though. The void moon will still it's active all the time. Like, you know, you want to check out an app and see between what times the moon will be void in your part of the world and everywhere, and therefore when to not take action. We avoid instigating any types of action around the void moon because it usually means nothing will come of our endeavours if the moon is void. It's not making any aspects to other planets until it leaves the particular sign that it's in. That's what a void moon is all about. And when that's the case, then there's no activation. The moon is very activating, which is why we do all these celebratory events based on moon cycles and lunar cycles, etc., because the moon is so activating. So don't do anything under a void moon. Get hold of an app like iLuna to check that out, and keep that in mind. But the best days for this week are the 3rd and 4th of August. Now, this is Melbourne time. In other parts of the world, it might be sort of the 2nd or the 3rd. But yes, certainly in Eastern Australia, which is what I'm basing this on, 3rd and 4th of August are your keys. they're going to be the days when the moon will allow for the best results to be active in your life. So yeah, initiate things under that energy. And this week's energy focus, while there are lots of energies playing out this week, we're going to focus on one alone, and you can check out which energy that is in the description box, and you can see when it's going to be activated in your part of the world. Plus there's also timestamps there to go to your sign to get the astro weather report for how it's going to be affecting your sign. But there are lots of energies, and I'll just tell you what is playing out this week. We have the sun in a conjunction here with Mercury. This is the third conjunction with Mercury that's occurred this year due to the retrograde motion of Mercury. Now Mercury and the sun are also going to be opposing Saturn this week. That's a heavy duty one to be careful about. We've also got the sun making a square to Uranus, because remember, we've got a very close connection here between Uranus and Saturn all year long. But right now we've got the sun squaring Uranus. And then we also have, no, that's it. Sorry, I'm just looking at my list. That's all that we've got. And then we're going to have the energy that we're going to talk about this week. These are heavy duty energies. These ones that I've just listed. There's a conjunction where Mercury will become combust and invisible in the sky. I mean, it's not visible right now anyway. It's too close to the sun, but it's going to be, actually it's going to be cazimi, not combust. So right at the point in the heart of the sun. But we also have this hard aspect here, and another opposition, which is also a hard aspect, giving a lot of tension to the week ahead in general. But I want to focus on the most uplifting energy that's available to us this week, and that happens to be a beautiful trine that is occurring between Uranus, down here's Uranus in Taurus, and the planet Venus in the sign of Virgo. Not only that, but Venus will be in a conjunction with a fixed star when this occurs. So at the time, at 14 degrees of Virgo and Taurus, when this when this trine is made, Venus will be in a conjunction with the fixed star Gemma, a star of beauty, artistry, popularity, and adulation. So for those of you who have planets around 14 degrees of Virgo, this might very well be activated in your life. You might start to see more beautiful artistic expression in your world. You might have a rise in popularity and appreciation that's part of your experience based on this star, if it's prominent in your chart natally, being activated by this beautiful trine, something to look forward to. So let's, as I said, check out the description box below for your part of the world when this is occurring. It is happening on the 3rd of August here in Australia. Also, if you're interested in these other energies I've talked about and how they will be affecting us all, you might like to either subscribe to my newsletter, go to Guiding Star Astrology to do that, or you might like to even jump on my Facebook page or my Insta page. Follow along there, because I share about each of these energies as they crop up during the week. So you'll get all the information you need there. Now, sorry, that I should say that my Facebook and Insta links are in the description box below as well. So what is Venus trine to Uranus all about? Well, it happens twice a year, roughly, and maybe a bit longer if Venus happens to retrograde within the course of a year, but basically it happens twice a year. So it's an energy that we know, but it means that we're itching to try something new. Uranus wants to bring out something new, to liberate us from something that might not have been helpful in terms of Venus energy, which is financial situation, love life situation, our situation with the ability to bring pleasure and delight into our life, our sensual side. Maybe we need to break free of some old habit, old rut, old neural pathway that we've got regarding those things, and we need to get out of that stuck situation. And Uranus will cause this to happen. If we are in a situation like that, Uranus is going to go, hey, let's break free. Let's get out of that circumstance. So it's very exciting in that sense. Are you keen to try something new in love? Something new in pleasure? Well, today's energy invites you to do that, to indulge and to enjoy. When I say today, I'm talking about the 3rd of August. There's no room for boredom on this day. It will be a fun day. We want to delight in something new and we're going to actively seek it out. So it might be new social experiences, new friendships, a new unique style of dressing, or, you might encounter a unique piece of music. Venus rules music in the lower octave of Neptune music. And so it might be a piece of Uranian music, electronic style music that really grabs your attention for some reason. You find yourself bopping along in the store. That happens to me quite a bit. I'll be out shopping and some cool song will come on. I'm tapping my foot. I was in a shop the other day and I think it was Beyonce's Bootylicious came on and the whole shop, everybody in the shop started singing along. It was so funny. But that kind of thing, that sort of sudden unexpected delight in maybe a piece of music that might happen for you this week. Now, if you are, it's an energy of feeling inspired. It's all such a beautiful energy because the trine is positive and supportive. So being shaken out of a rut in an easy, supportive way, experiencing some kind of social or fashion or music or food experience that happens in a joyful way and changes our ordinary daily experience into something more exciting and more happy. So if we are feeling excited, as is likely that we will be, we will probably seek to do something fun on impulse, like break into song in the middle of the reject shop in the town where I live. We might try a new restaurant. We might buy some quirky shoes. We might splash out on an unusual pot plant for our home, or visit a lowbrow art gallery. And I say that because interestingly, Venus is art and artistic expression, but Uranus is what we call lowbrow art. So my favorite artist is Shag from Palm Springs, and he's wonderful, and he's highly Uranian type of art. Uranus rules cartoon art. That is considered to be what we would define as lowbrow art. So, Autre Gallery in Australia, I'm looking at you. We might visit some sort of lowbrow art gallery under this expression. Now, Uranus also rules subcultures and bohemianism, and Venus sort of speaks to anything that is beautiful, anything that is artistic, as I've just implied. So just think of the innumerable ways that could combine for you to enjoy life and have fun. You might go to, there's a wonderful cocktail bar in Melbourne called the Luau. It's very much a part of that tiki culture, and you might go and enjoy a cocktail at the Luau perhaps, or maybe you might enjoy also in Melbourne, sorry, I'm talking about Australian things here, but there was a bohemian art group in the hills around Melbourne about 100 years ago, and you might go and visit an exhibition of that bohemian art group. There are a number of the Bloomsbury Group in England. You might immerse yourself into their culture in some way on the 3rd. So that bohemian or subcultural expression is likely to be experienced with joy. So what a lovely day to enjoy and have fun and delight in. So let's break it down. What is happening for all signs regarding this beautiful trine energy that is being played out? It's where we're going to be inspired. It's where we're going to be acting on impulse for the good. It's where we will want to try something new and break out of an old routine for the sake of pleasure and joy. So we'll use Virgo as our starting point. If you are Virgo, rising, sun or moon, or maybe if you just happen to have a stellium of 4 planets in Virgo, this will still be important to you. You are going to feel inspired and impulsive, I would say, regarding how you are expressing physically to the world. So in your dress, you might get a bit quirky. You might, put your hair in a totally different style, or wear a really bright color. Especially electric colors are ruled by Uranus here, and Venus is our fashion expression. So you might be inspired to put on some hot pink, or maybe a purple tie if you're a guy when you go to work, and something really bright and colorful and electric. It also rules neon colors. So when I was a kid growing up, neon socks were a thing, and everybody had a pair of neon pink socks when I was about 8. So you get your neon socks out again, and use that for your expression. Be impulsive, be fun, be playful with regard to how you are dressing. It's also the realm of life where you'll be inspired to try something new this week. So that might be some sort of, it's the body. This is the house of the body and the physical. So you might be inspired to try a new food, that's good for your body. Like I said, go to a bohemian venue and have a tiki cocktail or something like that. Trying something new in terms of your self-expression. Now, not only the physical expression, but your persona as well. You arrive at work and you think, instead of just going straight to my desk and putting my head down and my tail up and tapping away on my computer, I'm going to try something new with that puts my persona into a different light. I'm going to go around to everybody in the office and say good morning and hi. I did this once upon a time years ago. Picked a bunch of jonquils, and they're all out now because spring is coming in Australia. Picked a bunch of jonquils, took them into work, and gave everybody a jonquil. So why not do that on August the 3rd, Try something new in the way you are presenting to the world and interacting, putting yourself out there in the world. Try something new, like giving out a bunch of jonquils. And what a lovely thing to do if you're experiencing Imbolc this week in the Southern Hemisphere. We might also break out of an old routine for the sake of pleasure as well. You might have been wearing stiletto heels every day for the last month to 2 months to 2 years to the rest of the majority of your working life. You've been wearing stiletto heels to work, and you're like, what, I'm breaking out of this mode of self-expression that I've been in for the sake of pleasure and comfort. Venus rules comfort, and you're like, I'm wearing flats, getting my Audrey Hepburn on. I'm going to wear my flat shoes, my ballet shoes, to work. No more stilettos, and you break out of an old routine. Uranus liberates you from some form of physical expression that might have been very unpleasant, very uncomfortable. And here we move into a form of liberation with our personal expression in the body. I've used stilettos. Obviously that's for women or people who like to wear women's shoes, but it could be something else. Maybe you've worn a tie forever and you're like, oh, I hate wearing a tie. It's so uncomfortable. It's hot around the neck. And you break out and say, you know what? No tie anymore. I'm getting jiggy with it, to use a really bad 90s term. I'm gonna loosen things up a bit. Uranus is to break out of the routine and break the rules. If you're going to the bank and you've got to wear a tie to work, but hey, it's time to break out of that and say, no way, no more ties. I'm getting lowbrow with it, So enjoy. It could be a lot of fun with your dressing and your presentation in the world, Virgo. For Libra rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Venus being activated by a beautiful trine from Uranus is happening in the 12th house. And this is where you will feel inspired and maybe a bit impulsive. So I'm loving this. I think Libran people are going to get some big downloads this week creatively. Pay attention to your creative inspirations or any genius light bulb moments that come your way. They are a gift from the universe this week, and they will be coming from beyond. You might be coming from an ancestor who's passed away, who wants to give you some blessing, some gift that in your life. So something is revealed, something is exposed, some secret, because the 12th house is secrets, comes out and you are set free. That can happen as well. It's also very, like I said, it's inspired from the divine, from the angels, from the angelic realms, you can call them the alien realms if you like, or you could call it, the ancestral past life realms where something inspired comes your way. It's also the house of creative inspiration. So you might see a film and it just leaves you on cloud nine. It uplifts you. It inspires you to do something new and powerful and wonderful with your life. Very inspirational. But you might go on impulse to the cinema to see the film. You know, you weren't sort of sitting there planning it out for weeks. It was just like, I'm at the cinema, I don't know what to see. Oh, I'll go see that film. Boom. Something inspiring happens through film, through photography, through some, artistry, through music, through poetry, all of those very 12th house realms. This is also where we may wish to try something new. And this might pertain to spiritual experiences. So for example, you may never have astral traveled, and under this energy, you might be like, you know what? I'm breaking out. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try astral travel. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. And so you try something new in the spiritual, ethereal realms, and it liberates you. It changes your perspective. It frees you, as is the nature of Uranus. Could be very exciting in that way, trying something new spiritually, trying something new. Maybe you might even try something new in terms of a new day spa or a new massage resort or something like that you attend, because this is the house of escaping and where we can escape, and Venus is pleasure and indulgence, and Uranus is something new and exciting. Not that we really want to be all amped up when we're having a massage, but you know what I mean. By escaping in some new and exciting way, a way that feels good and feels liberating. It's not mainstream. It's not what we do with the humdrum every day. It's something new. Maybe it's attending some new yoga practice or a yoga studio that you've never been to before, or escaping the humdrum ordinary every day by going to a museum that you've never been to before. It's getting away from the ordinary in an exciting and uplifting and liberating way. And we can also break out of our routine here for the sake of more joy, because that's what this is all about. And so here, our routine with our spiritual life. Maybe we've been getting up every day and we sit and meditate for 10 minutes, but all of a sudden it's not doing for us what it used to do. And so this trine from Uranus to Venus here can inspire some sort of new spiritual routine that takes us to a new level, that takes us to a new place. Very empowered. So Librans, you're in for a treat this week. Scorpio rising, sun or moon people will put the energy of this, I need to just hold the board still, put the energy of the trine from Uranus through to Venus in your 11th house, Scorpio, one of the auspicious houses in the horoscope. This is where you will feel inspired and maybe impulsive. Let's say you're on the bus going to work or coming home from work, and you spot somebody and you see them every day, and the way they dress really intrigues you, or the book they're reading, you're like, yeah, I really want to talk to that person. They look like they'd be on my wavelength. So you might be inspired to make a new friend. You go up and you talk and you say, oh, I love that book. I read it the last week or whatever. And, you start talking. You are inspired to reach out and create a friendship and generate a new friendship. On impulse, the house of friendships. You're inspired to join maybe a local astronomy group, or maybe you're inspired to go to a philosophy lecture or something like that. Some group, some club, some organization, you decide, I'm going to go and be a part of that. With Uranus involved here, it could be that you decide, you know what, I'm going to go protest. I'm going to join the protests. I'm going to join some movement. And you might get inspired on impulse to go and do that. And it's going to be an uplifting experience for you if you do so under this benevolent trine that's playing out. You might be also inspired to take some new steps towards achieving your goals and dreams this week as well. You will be inspired to try something new. Like you might have had aspirations to write a great novel or something like that, and so you've been working on it and nothing's coming together. It's not quite gelling, and so you try a new approach, you try a new structure, you try a new routine towards achieving your goal, take a new step in a different direction towards achieving your goal, and lo and behold, things work. It gels. You're liberated from that old stuck pattern which you were utilizing to achieve your goals, and now you've found something new that will work and take you there. Wonderful energy. It's also where we can break out of an old routine, also for the sake of pleasure as well. So maybe you have an old, a habit of meeting up with a certain girlfriend or, your group of mates or something like that, once a month or what have you, but it's getting a bit stale. It's getting a bit old, this old routine of how you interact, how you're meeting up with your friends and so forth. And you say, look, I'm a bit tired of always meeting at this XYZ cafe. How about instead of that, let's go for a bike ride through the forest instead of meeting at the cafe. And you break out of the old routine for the sake of some beauty, like the experience of being in nature. Venus is nature. Beauty, some joy, some beautiful experience that's not usually on the agenda. So doing something fun with friends that is out of the ordinary is certainly on the cards for Scorpio people. For Sagittarius rising sun or moon people, the energy of this week, the trine between Venus to Uranus, it's occurring, and we just need to hold this still here. It's occurring for you in your 10th house, and this is where you might be getting some sort of inspiration and impulse this week. It might be on a project that you're working on. You find an innovative solution. You're inspired. You might be inspired to go and speak to your superiors about some idea that you've had, some genius new approach to something that you've had. So that could be very exciting too. You might be inspired to utilize your, to take steps towards greater worldly success. And for Sagittarius people, it's to do so in Virgonian ways. That's what's going to get you towards a level of success. By noticing the details, by doing the fine detailed work, by doing something beautiful but productive, which is very Virgonian. By doing those sorts of things, that's your path to success, and using that Virgonian mindset of diligence and hard work and good structure and routine. But the energy of Uranus making a trine here is giving you some sort of inspiration for how you can be more Virgonian in your workplace to achieve more success. So you might get an aha moment this week in your career. Okay, if I just do that, that is going to enable me to generate more interest, get more leads, etc., etc. So you will be inspired to discover some new path to success that will probably have Virgonian overtones to it. You may also be shaken out of a rut with something to do with career and keen to try something new. So, like, I'll use myself as an illustration. Maybe I've always done astro weather reports in a certain way. But this week I might decide, you know what? I'm going to throw caution to the wind and change it up, and I'm going to do the signs first, and then I'll do the breakdown of the weekly energies last, and you turn it round. Just an example there. But you might be inspired to try some new approach, some new way of doing things with your career projects and your career endeavors, or even with your relationships with superiors in some way. Now, it's also an energy, Sagittarius, of breaking out of an old routine for the sake of pleasure. Maybe you work late every night, working really hard, and you say this week, you know what, on the 3rd of August, I'm going to go home early. I'm going to leave work early. I'm going to go have a drink with my colleagues instead. And you break out of an old routine of working. You're like, let's go be social, Venus. Let's go connect for the sake of just having pleasure with one another and enjoying each other's company. So to do with career, you might break out of a routine with your boss. You might break out of a routine with a project that you do, like I've just described with my Astro Weather Report, but any project that you're working on or any mindset that you have towards success. You might break out of that routine for the ultimate reward of just pleasure, joy, indulgence, delight, Venus, or just to create more beauty. You know what? I'm going to stop on my way to work at the florist. I'm going to bring in a big bunch of beautiful flowers for the my desk, so that in my work environment, my career environment, I am bringing more beauty in. Hello, Venus energy. More, play some gorgeous music, bring some cupcakes into work. That's something Virgo would do. They would certainly make their own cupcakes, bring them into work for everybody to share through this beautiful Virgonian act of service. You never know, it could get you a promotion. Okay, Capricorn rising, sun or moon. we are seeing the energy of Venus in a trine to Uranus in the 9th house. And this is where you will feel inspired, and doubly so because the 9th house is the house of inspiration. So you might have definitely the opportunity to encounter some sort of bohemian figure or inspirational guru who brings more joy into your life, who shares some pearls of wisdom with you, just inspirationally. You might discover that through YouTube. You might be living right next door to them in some way. There is an energy of being present with inspiration this week. And of course, Uranus is the planet of genius and downloads. Expect some goosebump moments, expect some aha epiphanies to come your way. Particularly, I would say, to do with your beliefs, to do with your cultural awareness and your understanding of the world. It will be, you will get aha moments. You will get sudden, beautiful downloads that expand your life. You might also be keen to try something new in 9th house realms. Maybe you've always gone on a trip to, maybe you live in Florida and you've always gone on a trip to New York every year. And you decide, you know what? I think we need to shake it up. I think we need to get out of a rut. You know what? I think we should go to Vancouver. And so you plan a trip somewhere new. 9th house is travels. 9th house is different cultural environments. And so this is where you might get sort of shaken out of a rut. Maybe with your plans for a holiday, but also if you're planning a trip, something could happen out of the blue that you didn't see coming, but it will be of benefit and it will be of more delight for you. So, I don't know, let's say that the plane that you're taking gets rerouted and you end up sort of landing, in Chicago instead of Vancouver. But for some reason, it actually works out beautifully, and it gives you more opportunity and success and delight and inspiration in life because something out of the blue that you didn't see coming has happened, and for some reason it actually is good. So I've kind of given you a funny illustration there. I'm trying to think when being redirected on a flight is ever good, but maybe it is for some reason. Trying something new, something happening with our travels and our trips that actually shakes us out of a rut in a good way. Breaking out of an old routine can also happen for the sake of pleasure and joy now. So maybe you enjoy going to a cultural celebration, maybe La Masse, like I said in the intro, or maybe Imbolc, like I said in the intro. But maybe you've always celebrated in a certain way, because the 9th house has to do with celebrations, and you've always celebrated in a certain way. And lo and behold, Uranus trine to Venus says, you know what? Let's do it different. It's been hard work for me to put together the feast that we all come together as a family and enjoy. I think I'd like to enjoy this festival, this celebration, this whatever it is this week. And you decide, I think we'll go to a restaurant, or I think everyone can bring a plate. You break out of an old routine and it brings more pleasure and it brings more joy to your experience in some manner. So I think that for you guys, Capricorn, you're in for quite a treat with this one in the 9th house. Aquarius rising, sun or moon, lovely Aquarius people, you are having the energy of Venus in a trine to Uranus occurring in the 8th house. Now, this is where you are going to feel more inspired, more impulsive, and it's already a house of great change. So it's entirely possible that something out of the blue, something quite shocking could happen in your life, but it will be good because it's being instigated by a trine, especially if you have planets around the 14-degree mark of Virgo in your 8th house. You will be inspired by maybe a shift in dynamic, by a transformational idea that comes your way, by the chance to turn over a new leaf, get out that clean sheet of paper and start writing a new story for your life on it. You will be inspired by some transformative circumstance that comes your way, Aquarius. That could be really, really fun. You might be inspired by some kind of a shaman or an astrologer, or maybe inspired by a psychologist that you encounter, or some psychological book that you read, or some ancient text that you watch a documentary on, or something like that. Through those 8th house practices, you could be inspired There might also, out of the blue, come your way some sort of a windfall, some sort of an opportunity. This is the house of windfalls, would you believe? So you might, with this beautiful trine between Venus and Uranus, get some, inheritance or a win on the pokies or something. Not that it's not really connected to risks and gambling, but it's more of a windfall, things that come your way, and usually from an unexpected source. So this is an energy for getting a check in the mail, and you're like, not that happens much anymore. Nobody gets checks in the mail, do they? But let's run with it. You might get a check in the mail that, from a great aunt who's left you a ton of money and you didn't even know that was going to be a thing. So that is possible. Or it could be, more realistically, let's say, it could be that you get notification from the council that your application to use a piece of community property has been approved. And you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot that I even applied for that. And now I've got the opportunity to use that local hall for my yoga practice. Oh, awesome. So something happens out of the blue regarding community property, and it's wonderful. It's also the chance to try something new. Maybe we've been doing some therapy work. The 8th house is a house of therapy, and maybe we've been doing some therapy work, and it's become a bit old hat, and we're sort of like, going through the motions with our therapy instead of it actually liberating or helping us. Well, this is the energy of trying something new therapeutically that takes you to a new level, that gets you into a new zone. So it could be something lovely. And with Venus involved, it could be art therapy, could be music therapy, could be dance therapy. And so you might try some sort of new therapy style, and it is so empowering, so liberating, so freeing for you. So break out of an old routine with your therapies and discover the pleasure, Venus, that could come your way, the delight. And let's face it, when we're doing sort of like dance therapy, it's a very sensual activity, and it actually does bring not only energetic insights, but physical pleasure when we're doing this sort of thing as well. Also, this is a house of sex, as we know, and it's sex. There's a few houses of sex, but the 8th house is a house of sex that is connected to creating depth, creating meaning in our intimacy. So if you're in an intimate relationship and where the sex has lost its spark, this is the time, this is the energy that could reignite the passion, that could reignite the pleasure and the sensuality. Breaking out of an old routine with your sexual habits is the way to go here. Do it under this energy and you will relight the fire. Sounds like fun. Okay, Pisces rising, sun, moon, people, or even a stellium if you have one, the energy here is falling in the 7th house. So if you have planets around, or even, in this case, your descendant degree, because it's the manifestation point, around 14 degrees, well, this is where you might get ignited with something inspirational. Maybe, I don't know, this is the house of other people. You are Pisces, and the 7th house is others. Everyone else, not just our marriage partner, not just our business partner, but everyone. So somebody might do something that inspires you, that lifts you up, that invigorates you. You might get an email that just leaves you walking on cloud 9. You might have an interaction with a client that really lifts your spirits in some way. You might find that somebody sends you an article that has been published and it just inspires your heart. It causes your heart to swell and lift. That sort of energy. So I'm loving this for Pisces people. Other people in your life are going to be catalysts for you this week in transforming things. So something to look forward to. But also you might be, if you're dealing with any contracts or sort of contractual arrangements or business deals and that sort of thing, you might get inspiration this week for how to deal with those things appropriately. You might get some insights, some sudden aha moments and downloads that help you with your business transactions and business contracts and so forth. So pay attention to those goosebump moments, those electric insights that may also come your way. Now, this is also an energy where we might be inspired to try something new, maybe with a partner or an approach to our committed partnerships. We've always gone about things in a certain manner and it's starting to not really hit home, or we're not achieving much. Maybe we're trying to initiate a conversation with a business partner and they're just ignoring us, or it's, same with a marriage partner or something. So it's time to try something new, and you're supported by the universe in trying something new. Maybe you want to bring in more clients. Well, this is the time to try something new. Uranus to Trine to Venus in Virgo, and so it might be through some sort of Virgonian type practice that you could instigate perhaps bringing in more clients. Maybe paying attention to the details more might allow more clients to come in into your world. Maybe offering some sort of practical service to your partner instead of, look, we need to talk about our problems. Maybe by just simply going and washing their car for them, they might say, hey, look, thanks. I just wasn't expecting that. And that's just so lovely of you. You wanted to talk about something the other day. Look, let's chat. So acts of service are very Virgonian, and that could be by doing some unexpected act of service for a partner, trying something new. It might actually help to deal with any issues that are there, or uplift the energy of a relationship in a greater way. So look for ways to try something new, and you'll bring more pleasure, more joy and delight into the lives of others this week, Pisces. They may also, break out of routine and do something very beautiful for you, an act of service for you that that brings more pleasure into your life. That's entirely possible, Somebody, like a client, might send you a bunch of flowers, or I used to work at a doctor's surgery many years ago, and we would often have wonderful sweetheart people coming in, bringing us home-baked goodies or a bunch of roses out of their garden, that sort of thing. And you may find that people are doing that in your life this week in some way, Pisces. People are breaking out of their old routines for the sake of bringing joy and delight and pleasure into the lives of other people, maybe through, like, Venus rules roses and flowers. Maybe a bunch of flowers will be the way it expresses, but don't go looking for things, because it's going to happen in an unexpected and delightful way. Uranus, other people will bring something joyful and unexpected into your life. So Pisces, lots to look forward to with that one. It can also, I will add, Pisces, it can also herald, perhaps for some, especially if they've got planets around 14 degrees, it can bring in a new relationship. So hopefully for those looking for that is a triggering energy that will work for you. Now, for Aries rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Venus trined by Uranus is falling in the 6th house, and this is where you will feel inspired and impulsive as well. So you might get some inspiration about a work project, a relationship dynamic with a colleague. You might be inspired about, I know how I can change my financial Venus circumstances in the 6th house of debt. I know how I can get out of debt. I know how I can end that credit card situation that I've got. You could get some aha moment, some download from the divine that is going to inspire you for how to deal with the problems of life, how to fix and resolve the issues of the 6th house. Health issues, debt, lack of education, those things that are problems. So you could get in some inspiration there. You might also be looking to try something new, and under this energy, it's a great time to start something new. Maybe, for example, a new exercise routine or a new diet, or not that I'm a big fan of diets. I think we should just eat healthy all the time, and then we don't need to go on some health kick or health diet because we're in a good place. So you might try something new that could simply be, I'm going to start sticking to fruits and veggies and, plenty of water and just a healthy, eating plan for the rest of my life, not just a one-off diet. Unfortunately, I will also add, Uranus can just bring about, even in a trine, just one-off diets that we get into and we're inspired by and we give it a crack. But with Uranus, things can tend to not be long-lived. They're very, very on again, off again, like electricity. So, know that could be the case, and don't beat yourself up if you start a diet and it doesn't last. That's okay. But we want to try something new under this energy, and that's the point. We want to give something new a crack. We want to break out of an old habit, and in the house of routines, we want to break out of an old routine, maybe with our daily schedule, maybe with our eating habits, like I said, or our exercise routine, and we break out of it mostly for the sake of pleasure because of Venus's involvement here. So don't be surprised if you throw caution to the wind and say, screw this diet, I'm going to go out and we used to have a restaurant in Sydney in Australia called Death by Chocolate. It was just full of chocolate desserts. And you got a certificate if you could eat one of their particular desserts that was phenomenally decadent. I did get the certificate. But you can break out of a routine, your eating habits, for the sake of a pleasure or an indulgence or some sort of delight under this energy. So sounds like fun to me. If you are an Aries rising person, well, what does it hurt to go and have a bit of indulgence and fun and pleasure and break out of the mundane, ordinary way of doing things on this day? This is the 3rd of August. So enjoy some sort of pleasure that is non-harming in the long term, and try something new. Okay, for Taurus rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Venus in Virgo making an aspect that is a beautiful trine to Uranus in your first house, Taurus, is occurring on the 3rd of August, and it's happening to affect your 5th house, one of the most beautiful houses in the horoscope. So you will be feeling particularly creatively inspired. You will want to express yourself in some pleasurable, delightful, maybe even sensual way. So I'll get to that in just a minute, but it's a beautiful energy for getting like some creativity on the go, starting a new novel or designing a new, like redoing a room in your house or something like that, getting inspired about some creative expression that you might bring to the world. And you might do it on impulse. It might come out of the blue like an electric download, a bolt from the blue, where you just get an epiphany. I'm going to write this novel, or I'm going to paint this picture, or whatever your source of creative expression is. You might also be very inspired to try something new in your love life. Shake things up in the bedroom to enjoy some kind of interaction with a lover that wouldn't usually be the case, to try a new romantic approach to your interaction with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So, if you are in a dating type relationship or even a long-term love relationship, this is an energy that might see some exciting new opportunity to date happen. Your partner might show up with a big picnic basket at just after work, and off you go down to some exclusive little locality and enjoy a unexpected picnic together. Some inspiring, sort of out of the ordinary new dating experience that could come to you under this energy. You might even this is also a house of children, so you might have some sort of new experience with your children, something inspired, something. You might even notice that your children are exhibiting some genius insights as well. Children can display perhaps genius artwork. Uranus is genius, Venus is artistic expression, dancing, singing, music, that kind of thing. So your children might be showing signs on this day of some genius-like capabilities potentially. There is also the chance to break out of a routine with your dynamics with your children, how you're relating to your children, and maybe by doing something fun and enjoyable and pleasurable together. I'd highly recommend that. Taking the opportunity, we've been, as everyone knows from last week's video, we've been in lockdown in Australia. In the state where I live, it's lifted recently, just this week, and we might be able to break out of a routine of homeschooling now with our kids and go out for ice cream or something like that for the sake of just having some fun together after such a long time going through lockdown, that kind of thing. So It is a nice energy, Taurus, for enjoying your children, having fun with your children and your lovers as well, and for bringing some sort of creative expression to the world. Now, there could also be, because it's a very indulgent house, the fifth house, it's about the entertainments and the luxuries and even being a little bit lazy as well. So you might find that you get the chance to just have more fun and bring more joy into your life through doing some pleasurable activity, something that just makes your heart sing and gives you a state of happiness and joy. Lots to look forward to for Taurus. Now, for Gemini, rising sun or moon people, the energy of this trine, and I'm going to hold my thing a bit here, this trine between Venus in Virgo to Uranus in Taurus is occurring and impacting your fourth house, and this is where you might be very inspired. You might get a bolt from the blue this week that says, you know what, I think I should sell my house and buy an apartment or something. And so all of a sudden you weren't thinking of this last week, but you are this week, and they're on the cards, you're moving within a matter of a week or so. There could be something that just so quickly and suddenly and unexpectedly happens regarding that. Now, of course, you'd need to know what else is being triggered in your chart for something really significant like that to occur, but it's entirely possible, especially if you have planets around the 14-degree mark, or maybe even your IC manifestation point around the 14 Virgo mark as well. So inspiration and impulse regarding a home, regarding place of living, regarding a domestic environment. Maybe the way you're running your home gets a big sort of shake up and a change that feels really good, or that needed to happen. Maybe you are inspired with some home decor or some home renovation or something like that to make some changes that are going to be liberating and empowering for you somehow. You might get inspired to try something new in your home. Maybe you want a new couch, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, taking that old couch to the tip, it's so ratty and old, we need a new one. And something new for the home happens, or the garden as well. Maybe trying something new in your local community, because fourth house has to do with our intimate tribe as well. So you might be trying some sort of new hospitality kind of approach to connecting with your tribe and your intimate group, your family even. Breaking out of an old routine can happen, and I would suggest that it's possible because this is the foundation of our emotional happiness. You might break out of an old routine, and it allows you to feel more internally stabilized emotionally. So maybe you've been in a routine of that's just overwork and overstress, and you change that somehow this week. You're inspired to break out of some old routine, and it allows you to feel more emotionally centered and more emotionally grounded. So for Gemini people, that shift could be very empowering for you. Doubly so because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is also your ruling planet as well. So there's a lot of influence and connection between Gemini and Virgo. So breaking out of an old routine that allows you to feel more emotionally stabilized. So look for ways you can shake things up that are going to help you feel better about your life. What is it in your life that feels stuck? What is it in your life that feels like it's holding you back from being happy and feeling stable? That's where you can perhaps direct your attention to make some changes this week that will support you in feeling like you have a better, more fulfilling life, Gemini. Okay, and we're almost at the end. Cancer, rising sun or moon people. Well, the energy for this week's beautiful trine between Uranus and Venus is falling and being emphasized in your third house. So this is where you might get inspired. Maybe you'll be inspired to, hire a PA or something like that. If you need a personal assistant or a virtual assistant, you might be inspired to do so this week. Somebody who can handle administrative tasks for you. You might be inspired to go and tackle those administrative tasks yourself, and you get you going. Now with Virgo in the third house, you're probably very good at that already. So you might be inspired to perhaps learn something new. This is a house of learning new skill sets, sharing information and receiving new information and new ideas. So you could receive some new information, new idea, and it inspires you, it uplifts you. You might learn some new skill, and it gives you some sort of sense of liberation perhaps that could come your way. One of your neighbors might do something that inspires you. One of your siblings might do something that inspires you. If you have a small business, Cancer, there might be something that unfolds for you this week that really shakes it up in a positive, beneficial way for you. Some small business endeavor that you undertake brings you a lot of pleasure, a lot of happiness, a big smile on your face. And it will probably happen in a sudden, unexpected way as well. So for Cancer people, that could be a lot of fun. It's also suggested, Cancer, that you try something new under this energy, and it's probably going to manifest for you that you will. Third house is, like I said, skill sets. You might try a new, like you've never done metalwork before or created jewelry or something, and you think, you know what? I think I'm going to go do that. I think I'm going to learn how to make earrings or rings or something like that. And you try something new with some skills of the hands, or using your mind in a new way, trying something new that brings you pleasure. And of course, the illustration I've just given is that Venus rules jewelry. So you break out of an old habit with your skill sets and try something new with your skill sets, and it usually will result, in this case, perhaps with some Venus-like manifestation. You try a new, culinary activity, you try to do shoe pastry or something like that. And it's pleasurable, it's delightful, and you get some lovely Venusian type food experience out of it, or like I said, jewelry making or sewing, or maybe something like artistry or music, or all of those lovely. And within Virgo, it would probably be very practical, like cooking, sewing, some constructed element like jewelry and that kind of thing, that would be very useful as well as beautiful, because that's Virgo. It likes things to be useful and beautiful. It's also a very busy house, and the trine from Uranus, which is the higher octave of Mercury, is probably going to be making your mind very, very busy. And you'll be thinking a lot and involved in a lot and running to and fro and running here and there and, buzzing about. That can be really actually very good. It's not going to feel like a drudgery to be doing that. It will feel pleasurable to be active, to be busy, to have a sparking mind, to be involved in lots of things. You're going to feel like life is buzzing for you. And that will be good, because Venus is pleasure. It's a lovely trine. And so you're going to be busy, but in a good way, a way that feels really nice. All right. And lovely Leo, where we're having the new moon at the end of the week. That will be in next week, or refer to that a little bit in next week's report. There'll also be a Patreon report on the new moon for each sign, if anyone's interested in that. Leo is where we are having the new moon, as I said, but the energy of Venus trine to Uranus is falling in the second house, and it's in second house things that you might be inspired and take some impulsive action that could be very fulfilling and rewarding. I would suggest maybe if you are approached by somebody to look at some investment, or to look at, utilizing your money in a different, quirky, unique way, maybe take it on board, Leo. Maybe, embrace it, or, research it a bit, consider it, because you might get some inspired and out of the blue directioning with finances and financial investments that will support your life. So that can definitely happen. It's actually, Leo, and it's actually just happened to me very recently as well, where that's been the case. So that could be the energy that plays out for Leo people this week. Some inspired opportunity to invest, and invest in yourself, I would say, as well. This Venus is the planet of self-love, in the house of self-love. And, how are you honoring your own beauty, your own joy, your own self? Taking time this week to do so is supported, and you'll probably be inspired to do so. Not just to indulge the self for the sake of indulgence, but to indulge the self. Maybe you indulge in listening to a number of Louise Hay affirmations, and it uplifts your sense of value and worth and specialness, if you want to use that word, in the world. So you could be inspired to undertake some activity this week that invests in your physical resources and invests in your sense of value as well. Second house is values. This is also where you might be inspired to try something new out of the blue. And like I said, some new investment or some new approach to honoring yourself that you don't usually do. Something that shakes you out of a rut with those things also. There could be a breaking out of routine for the sake of pleasure as well, Leo. So you might have, this is like food is connected to the second house, and you might have always eaten, get up and have breakfast and then have lunch and then have dinner, and you change your old habit, your old routine, Virgo is routines, with food that brings you more delight. I think I'll have 5 small meals a day rather than 3 large ones, and I will graze rather than and you break out of a routine. It brings you more happiness, it brings you more joy, you feel more satisfied, you feel a bit more stable, because this is a house of stability and security. So you might find that you break out of some food routine, like I just illustrated, that helps you to feel more stable and more balanced, more harmonious and less volatile throughout the day by regulating those blood sugar levels on a regular basis, perhaps. Venus is food, second house is food, so that could definitely be the case. And so don't be afraid to enjoy some pleasure under this, maybe spontaneously, unexpectedly, chance to go out for a drink with everybody after work, or go out for a decadent meal or something like that on the 3rd of August. Like, it is supported. Something spontaneously fun and delightful that your body and your sensual self really aligns with here in the house of physicality. When I say physicality, the sensual, the tangible, the touch, taste, sight, sound, and smell of life. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like I was perhaps a little bit confusing there, but it is going to be a week for inspiration in second house realms, trying something new and breaking out of old routines for the sake of pleasure and delight. So that is the Astro Weather Report for this week. I hope that you all have a glorious week. Let me close with a prayer. I want to offer universe the energy of gratitude this week. Gratitude for Uranus, Trine to Venus, and all the inspiration that it will bring and the upliftment that it will bring us. Help us to really feel into that energy and observe it and delight in it around us this week, so that we can raise our vibration and join with others on the planet to raise their vibrations for joy and to see positivity come into our world more and more and more. Thank you for all that's unfolding on the earth right now for the purpose of awakening and higher consciousness, and we just give gratitude for that process. And so it is. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I will have another Astro Weather Report for you next week. Till then, take care and God bless.